something that has always brought people together. Those who are stressed or overwhelmed can easily listen back to their favorite song and de-stress. Music is something that almost everyone enjoys. Hello, my name's Amelia.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Cornell.
And I'm Olivia, and today we'll be talking about music and its effects on the brain.
Frequency and the anatomy of the human ear create contrasting ways that people perceive music.
These frequencies also create different types of music that can help people relax and create their own musical preference.
These different types of music affect different parts of the brain, and the parts of the brain that it affects are the feelings and emotions.
Today we're going to be talking about the anatomy in the ear, musical preference, music and its effect on mental health, and the different effects of rap and classical music on the brain.
The ear is composed of three parts: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The outer ear is the only visible part of the ear and is made up entirely of cartilage and skin. The outer ear also houses a funnel-shaped ear canal. At the end of the ear canal is the tympanic membrane, or more commonly called the eardrum. The eardrum separates the outer and the middle ear. On the inner side of the eardrum is the middle ear. Located here are three tiny bones. Together, these bones are classified as the ocells. The ocells are vital in the process of how we hear by transferring vibrations to the inner ear. The inner ear is a snail-shaped canal that is made up of two main parts, one of them being the cochlea. The cochlea is the hearing organ and contains two fluid-filled chambers that are lined with microscopic hairs. When sound waves enter the ear, they travel through the ear canal, causing the eardrum to vibrate. These vibrations pass to the other side of the eardrum, where the ocells amplify and transfer the sound to the inner ear. Here, the fluid inside the cochlea begins to ripple and form traveling waves along the basilar membrane. The basilar membrane is lined with these microscopic hairs, and the hairs get picked up by the fluid and they begin to move up and down. When the hairs move up and down, they bend and bump against a type of sensory cell known as stereocilla. This causes pore-like channels at the tip of the stereocilla to open up, letting chemicals rush into the cell. This is what creates an electrical signal. This electrical signal is then sent to the brain by auditory nerve cells, where our brain receives and processes the information and turns it into sound that we can recognize and understand. How we hear different types of sound depends on the type of wavelength that is created. Sound is produced when an object vibrates, creating a pressure wave and kinetic energy. This causes particles in the surrounding medium, such as air, water, or glass, to vibrate as well as further transmit the sound. This is what creates a sound wave. When applying this to music, there are three properties of sound: pitch, dynamics, and duration. Pitch defines sound as high or low. So when listening to a song with somebody that has a low voice, they have a lower pitch. Pitch is essentially the musical term for frequency. Frequency of a sound wave is determined by how it travels through a medium. The number of cycles of a wave that can complete within a second is called hertz. Human beings can hear from 20 to 20,000 hertz. It just depends on the person and the anatomy of their ear.
There are three types of frequency sound waves. A low frequency sound wave classifies anything 500 Hz and lower. A medium frequency sound wave covers the range between 500 and 2000 Hz, and a high frequency starts above 2000 Hz.
An example of a low frequency sound would be the sound a bass instrument like a tuba makes. An example of a medium frequency sound would be the sound of a person's voice or a dog barking. And an example of a high frequency sound would be police sirens or a cymbal crashing.
The brain, while also taking a part, mentioned previously by Peyton, Maddie, and Olivia, also takes a hand in a person's musical preference. Musical preference is just a simple liking for one or more brands, or in musical cases, genres of music. Not only does the brain affect this, but so does outside influence, self-expression, and age. Growing up, society will always affect the way you are living your life. Some of this social influence happens through the music you listen to. Just think about it. Music is everywhere, all the time. Grocery stores, airports, buses. It's endless. Now, as you're growing up, and especially those who are younger, will often be affected by the music around them. This happens because they have not fully developed the prefrontal lobe in their brain, which helps with their self-identity. Now, as they're growing up and being influenced by all this music, the prefrontal cortex will grow, and then they will have a musical preference towards what their prefrontal cortex is familiar with. Self-expression also has a big part in your musical preference. Those who want, idolize, or imagine something will often convey these thoughts into song or music. People or rappers or even singers will start to relate and listen to these songs and music, which can allow them to have musical preference to that similar type of genre. Many of this self-expression also shows later in personality traits and other music preference. Now with age, it also has a big impact on your musical preference. When I think of the type of music that my parents listen to, I always know that they jam out for music from like the 80s. Now this might seem like common sense, but age actually has a huge factor in the type of music you enjoy. According to some studies, the strongest part of musical influence happens for females around the age of 13 and for males at the age of 14. This happens because there's a stronger influence on adult musical preferences, and as they grow up, they will be more familiar with the music they grew up or around the age of 13 or 14 with.
Now here is a video of classical and rap music. Here is the rap.
Well, dog, we gon' see how hard they rock. I get racks to go outside and I spend it when they got. We up on the other side, just acting like we tied.
Here's the classical music. Now reflect. How did each of those make you feel?
Many of you may think of classical music as something that you hear in the elevator or on the radio occasionally. But what if I told you it could have significantly positive impacts on your brain and your body? To understand this, first you need to understand what a chemical called dopamine is. Dopamine is released by hat-shaped glands on the top of your kidneys and is part of the reward system of your body. When your brain thinks that you've done something good, it triggers the release of dopamine, and dopamine makes you feel good about that thing, and it also provides you with the motivation to continue doing it. So how does this relate to classical music? Classical music triggers the release of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine blocks out a chemical called cortisol, which cortisol is a chemical that is released during times of high stress. Cortisol can increase your anxiety and your blood pressure, thus increasing your stress even more than it was before you had cortisol in your body. When you listen to classical music, dopamine blocks the cortisol coming out of its glands and gives you a sense of calm and motivation because it decreases blood pressure and anxiety, therefore decreasing your levels of stress. According to a study done by the Department of Medical Genetics, listening to just 20 minutes of classical music a day can affect your brain with the memory and learning functions. It does this through a system called your synaptic function. Your synaptic function is how fast the neurons in your brain are firing, and when they are firing faster, your retention and memory storage is increased. The main difference that causes this in classical music is that classical music is typically slower and only has lyrics, as you heard in this and has no lyrics, as you heard in this video. Other types of music, such as rap, have lots of lyrics, and this can cause the brain to multitask, as it's focusing on the lyrics and the different melodies and rhythms within. So when you listen to classical music, your brain is less likely to be overwhelmed and it doesn't have to multitask as much. This can lead to the task you're completing being more efficient and done better.
Rap is a very popular music genre. It's #1 in the United States and #2 worldwide. It also has a very high emotional impact, spreading messages of unity and self-expression for some, but causing others to have increased feelings of aggression or violence. Cambridge University found that listening to rap music can help people with depression or low self-esteem, and rap can also get people who wouldn't normally be as open to talk therapy to open up about their own mental health issues. Most of rap's positive influence comes from its lyrics, especially lyrics with positive themes like getting out of poverty. When a rap song has positive lyrics, a similar effect is had as to when athletes envision themselves winning a game. It boosts confidence and motivation. Also, rapping is good for the actual rappers. Researchers did a study observing the brains of rappers while they freestyled and found that they almost entered an alternate state of mind while freestyling. They found unique pathways in motivation, language, emotion, motor function, and sensory processing areas of the brain. Rap music taps into creative areas of the brain and also builds up positive energy, which leads to rap listeners having fewer mental problems on average than people who listen to other kinds of music. Even though there are positives of rap, there are also a lot of negatives. It increases the feelings of aggression and openness to violence for a lot of people, which can be especially harmful because most people who listen to rap are under 30 years old. It also makes people's perception of their violent memories more stronger than the perception of other kinds of memories. And it increases respiratory rate, blood pressure, and heart rate, which all lead to a more unstable mental state. After listening to rap, men reported that they felt more materialistic, and women reported that they felt more self-conscious, which could be because of the subjects of rap songs, often including things like objectification, drugs, and murder.
One similarity between rap music and classical music is that they both have a significant impact on the brain. Classical music, on one hand, increases the motivation and can decrease stress, while rap music can either show, as Olivia said, signs of unity and empowerment, or signs of objectification and violence. One reason for this is because rap music has lyrics, and these lyrics can change, and depending on what is said in the lyrics, that can give you a different feel or mood because of what they're talking about. They can also use the rhythms and beats in the song to create emotion, while classical music only has the emotions displayed through rhythms in the song.
Rap music increases stress in the brain, while classical music de-stresses the brain, and rap depletes energy, while classical music can build it back up.
Listening to music makes all the challenges and stress throughout your day float away. It has been proven that music reduces anxiety through the beats and melodies, while also connecting with the listener. Say you know somebody that just went through a death in their family or a heartbreak. Listening to this music that has effects like this will also cause them to connect with this music because they know what they're going through. Research in 2019 found that music can lessen the impact of stress. The biggest cause of stress in teenagers is school. Things like assignments, tests, quizzes, and grades are also factors of this. It has been found that music at 60 beats per minute causes the brain to sync with it. Whenever the brain syncs with it, it releases alpha brainwaves. Alpha brainwaves are released in your brain and cause your body to relax. This is why a lot of people prefer to listen to sleep music before they go to bed, because these alpha brainwaves are released when you listen to it, causing you to be in this relaxed state, which makes you fall asleep faster.
Adding on to what Coronel said earlier, music is a great way to relax in times of high stress. Some music even triggers the release of dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical found in the body that acts as the body's reward system. According to How Music Affects Your Mind, Mood, and Body, active music making can positively affect neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine can affect focus, memory, sleep, mood, and motivation. Because of this, many people find it beneficial to listen to music that puts them in a relaxed state before going to sleep. To conclude, music has a very large impact on many people worldwide. Music can affect the brain and the body in many different ways, from mental health to musical preferences, and the different emotions people get when listening to music. Music is very important to society. People hear through the complex anatomy of the ear, and this results in electrical signals to the brain. These electrical signals can then trigger different reactions in the brain.
Some of these reactions involve the brain's ability to perceive music, which will result in some having musical preference. Not only is your musical preference affected by the brain's ability, it can also be impacted by things such as outside influence, self-expression, and age.
The different kind of music you listen to also has a huge effect on your mental health, whether it's for the good or for the worse.
On one hand, classical music can decrease your stress and increase your motivation to complete tasks.
So, the next time you put on some music to study, think about changing your upbeat rap to a classical song to get the best effect.